Luffy's mother's Crocodile. Now this seems OD because, well, Crocodile is clearly a man. But this has to do with the combination of two theories, actually. One is that Crocodile used to be a woman and asked Emporio Ivankov to change his gender so he could be a man instead. And the other is that before Luffy was born, that's when Crocodile was involved with Dragon as a woman and got pregnant. This sounds crazy, right? Is it too out of this world for even One Piece, though? Not really. People can change their ages, shapes, and forms with devil fruits almost always being the cause. The rarer the fruit, the more it can do so. Is changing one's gender permanently really that hard to imagine? Well, let's not decide until we look at the details that are involved with these theories. This video wouldn't be possible without the help of the amazing One Piece theory crafters and all their compiled ideas. I combed through them and picked all the best things I could find to convince you all. Hopefully, Part 1, Crocodile was a woman. This stems from the very vague secret that Ivankov has been holding over Crocodile and using against him. At first, people thought Ivankov simply knew about the extreme weakness to water that Asuna Nomi has. But seeing as Luffy and others figured that out too, it kinda loses its importance as an option. Let's just spell it out. Ivankov's devil fruit can change people's genders, and Ivankov blackmailed Crocodile by threatening to reveal his past. Not just that, but there's the small detail of Ivankov constantly calling him in a demeaning way by adding boy to his name. If you recall, Ivankov only does that usually with people below or younger than him. But Crocodile shouldn't be so far in age to receive that kind of treatment. Then why? It could be due to the information Ivankov has on Crocodile and a means to constantly throw that fact back in his face in case Crocodile ever gets any funny ideas. And taking the man's no-bull personality into account, you'd expect Ivankov to be struck down the first time he ever called Crocodile in such a disrespectful way. But it still hasn't happened. In any case, if Crocodile was a woman and didn't want anyone to find out, that would be a pretty insane secret. You know, kind of like how Sanji is part of the Germa family, or Zoro having ties to Wano country through the Shimotsuki family. This is by no means a new theory. It's been going on since April 2009, just days after the chapter with Ivankov, and Crocodile Talking was released. It certainly doesn't help his cause that everyone in Baroque works was so gender-specific. Everyone was either Mr. or Ms. or Mrs., with even Crocodile having the added Sir in his name, as if he didn't seem manly enough for us to tell he was male. But adding more fuel to that fire is the one and only Bon Clay. As an Okama, he presents himself as both male and female, dressing as a woman and wearing makeup, but having the voice and codename Mr. 2, not to mention his power, allows him to replicate male or female faces. And since Bon Clay comes from the same place as Ivankov, it's pretty interesting that Crocodile would have someone like him in his crew. By this, I mean Ivankov might have also blackmailed Crocodile into taking Bon Clay in as an employee. And if you'd like visual evidence, some things come to mind. For example, there's the handful of images we've seen from Crocodile's past. In his youth, he looked more effeminate than most other little boys, and some take that to mean he was a tomboyish girl. Recently, this belief has gained more traction with the release of the live-action series. In case you haven't watched it, there's a flashback scene during Goldie Roger's execution with an unidentified woman watching the event. Some believe it's Boa Hancock, but many other fans are convinced it's Crocodile before his gender change. Even in the anime, the only shot we have of him for this moment is from behind, where it's hard to tell exactly what he looks like. The same can be said for the manga panel, which most consider to be more canonical than the animated version. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought it was Krallo instead of Crocodile. But anyway, in the newer manga arcs, there's also been the introduction to the cloned version of Crocodile being used as a seraphim, who also happens to look quite feminine in comparison to young Kuma, Mihawk, or Doflamingo. We could even point out that his face shape and overall design is more reminiscent of Boa's seraphim counterpart, a female-looking child. Or is it just effeminate artistic choices? Part 2. Luffy's Mother. The mystery, considering this series has been running for decades, it's a bit strange. To know everyone in Luffy's family except who his mother is. Who is she? Why have we heard nothing of her? Or did she just die like all the other Straw Hat members' moms? That would be pretty depressing, honestly. But he's part of the big three. And even Naruto and Ichigo's mothers died, so it could be possible. But why does Oda put emphasis on certain characters? He said himself that he gave the ones that mattered the most specific details so they'd be memorable within the story. That includes Zeph and his leg, and Crocodile and his hook. Let's say this means Luffy's mother is in fact Crocodile. One of the biggest arguments against the idea is how he tried to kill Luffy during the Alabasta arc. Well, what if he didn't realize it was his son? He's been a long-time villain within One Piece, operating from the shadows most of the time. As far as we know, Garp raised Luffy alongside Doden with no one else involved. Dragon wasn't even present, most likely because of his role in the Revolutionary Army and the danger it would put his son in. So there's a chance that Crocodile gave over Luffy as soon as he was born and went his merry way afterwards, and never cared to get updates on his discarded child. I mean, after striking a deal with Ivankov to be turned into a man. Of course. This brings us to Crocodile's fight with Luffy that left our rubber protagonist nearly dead in one of his biggest losses pre-time skip. That's one of the most used arguments against Crocomom. A mother would never want to kill their own child. Okay, that might be true for some moms, but not all. I'd counter that by saying, have you seen Big Mom when she gets really hungry? Yeah, she would eat all her children if it was bad enough. Maybe starting with Pudding since she treats her so terribly. So what if this was because Crocodile wanted to erase any evidence of his past as a woman? And the best way to do that would be to get rid of the child he birthed with Dragon. Crocodiles could simply be a bad person, and wants things to go as planned no matter who gets in the way, including family. We've all seen how he treated his Barak team, throwing them around like garbage when they're of no use anymore. But naysayers are completely overlooking the moment when Crocodile came to Luffy and Jinbei's aid, when Akainu was out for blood. He says it has to do with letting people be free to reach their goals without being stopped. And prior to this moment, Crocodile ordered Daz Bones, formerly known as Mr. One, to help Luffy when Mihawk was coming to take him down. Likewise, Crocodile stepped in when Daz and Luffy struggled against the Warlord of the Sea, making sure they weren't killed. And before all that, Crocodile helped Luffy to protect Ace, the high-ranking member of. You know, the guy that Crocodile hates more than anyone else because of how badly he lost to him. Not to mention all these actions came after Luffy was revealed as Dragon's son. So Crocodile's sudden change in attitude is both confusing and suspicious. It's true that Crocodile might have just been helping fellow pirates get away from the Marines, seeing as he lost his title of Shichibukai. But what if it was due to something else? Maybe trying to kill Luffy was just because he didn't recognize the Straw Hat as his child. But to be fair, most characters didn't know Luffy was related to Dragon or even Garp for a while. Garp hid it very well. And let's not forget that it's because of Luffy that Crocodile lost his position as a warlord. Even Garp would be pissed at Luffy if he made him lose his spot in the Marines. Right. But let's touch on physical similarities. Now, have you ever seen Don Luffyoni? Yeah, he's meant to look like some mafia boss working alongside Sanji and Zoro. But why is he the spitting image of Crocodile here? From the slicked back hair to the cigar hanging from his mouth, and even his scar seems eerily similar to Crocodile's. When combined with the other two details, Zoro also looks kind of like Smoker. But that's besides the point. Normally, Oda's very good at separating how male characters are drawn. The issue is usually with female ones, who often look the same as each other. Like how many girls look just like Nami, his favorite, but in alternate colors schemes. So what's up with all the similarities between Luffy and Crocodile? Sure, it's just a gag story, not meant to be taken seriously, but considering even some title pages or canon parts of the story, who knows? Don't worry. I can't picture the two of them together in an intimate way either. But more importantly, have we ever seen Crocodile and Dragon interact? Well, no. But if we keep in mind that Ivankov met a young rookie Crocodile and is hiding a secret from way back then, let's just consider that Ivankov, who's part of the Revolutionary Army and helped found it, was likely with Dragon at the time, even if their organization didn't exist yet. And if Dragon was there at the same or somewhere nearby, then he likely met the rookie pirate as well. And let's not overlook the fact that the revolutionaries are located in the Kamabaka Kingdom, where Ivankov's like-minded citizens live. The connections between Ivankov and Dragon run deep, so it would be hard for Crocodile to never have met Dragon, especially considering his infamy in the series. Is it possible that Crocodile wasn't the power-crazed pirate he is now and appreciated Dragon's fight for justice from the Marines? If nothing else, it's easy to imagine that Dragon's struggle would appeal to Crocodile's appreciation for power-seeking. This isn't to say that Dragon fights the Navy to gain more notoriety, it's just a consequence of him helping people who have been wronged, even if Crocodile's past actions have been more self-centered. Pushing against different authority figures like the world government or the Marines aligns with the way the Revolutionary Army does things. So if Crocodile wasn't corrupted before, and Dragon wanted to take down the nobles abusing their power, now this all might be too much for some people to swallow, but even the most skeptical person has to agree that some of it makes a lot of sense. It's fine to deny some bits, but all of it? Well, that's just ignoring how large and fantastical the One Piece world is. Do you want to be the one to decide where Oda draws the line in terms of storytelling? Besides, if your only issue with this is that there's too many contradictions in Crocodile's characterization for this to be true, I say to you, what person stays on a single path for their entire life, never straying for a moment? If nothing else, this makes Crocodile a more interesting character.